Hello and welcome back, goats, to the Big Blue Purple channel. In this video, I'll be taking a look at every single normal mode trial from the Heavensward expansion and ranking them from worst to best. I've already ranked the A Realm Reborn trials on this channel, so if you're interested in seeing that, if you haven't already, I will leave a link to that in the description below. It's on my channel, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. Either way, I think that the Heavensward trials are going to be far more interesting to rank because they're just much better overall. Like, all of the Heavensward trials, except for one, which we'll get to, are fucking amazing. They're seriously phenomenal trials, and some of the best in the game, even considering current content. And it's pretty damn crazy being able to say that, because Heavensward is an expansion from goddamn 2015. This is an old expansion, man. But this content really holds up today, and I think many players would agree that we all fucking love the trials in Heavensward. Anyways, without further ado, let's talk about the trial experience in Heavensward. Coming in dead last, 7th place on the Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward trial ranking, we have none other than Bismarck. And this probably comes as a surprise to absolutely nobody in the entire world. I've expressed my distaste for Bismarck in a previous video, I think that was the animal weapon experience, but in this video I really get to dive in to why I fucking hate Bismarck. First and foremost, Bismarck isn't even a fucking boss fight. In the Bismarck fight, you need to wait for the dragon killers to be ready so that you can hook Bismarck to the side of the island you're fighting on, so you can get on top of his back, hit this one specific spot so that he fucks off from the island again, and you can repeat it again until you finally kill him. All while managing this stupid fucking barrier thing like the Leviathan fight in A Realm Reborn where you need to block his shockwaves with this barrier or whatever. I seriously hate those mechanics where it's like, oh, just go activate the terminal to block the boss from doing a one-shot move that'll wipe your team. It's just a not fun or satisfying mechanic for really anybody, and only one person gets to do the mechanic anyway. Now, if you're the worst player in your Destiny 2 raid team, you're gonna love this fight, because all you need to do, baby, is clear those ads. That's the entirety of the fight. Yep, clear them motherfucking ads. If you're a tank, all you need to do is make sure that the ads are split apart, the green one and the blue one. If they're together, they become invulnerable, and your entire team hates you for doing the mechanic wrong, because nobody wants to be fighting Bismarck right now. Also, if you happen to get this fight in Trial Roulette with a team of like a bunch of new players, they're all playing DPS, and your damage isn't just quite great, have fun spending 20 fucking minutes in this boss fight, because if you don't kill him by the second time the Dragon Killers are up, you need to do it all over again for another 5 minutes before you can finally finish him off. Great time, awesome experience, we all love Bismarck. This trial is pretty much the equivalent of the Leviathan fight from A Realm Reborn, if you didn't actually fight Leviathan and instead you just fought a bunch of random fucking enemies he spawned on the arena. Yeah, fuck Bismarck, all my homies hate Bismarck. Let's move on now. Now, at number 6 on my Heavensward trial ranking, I have decided to put Sophia. I want to make it very clear that from this point forward, every trial we talk about is at least 500 times better than Bismarck at a bare minimum. The other 6 of these trials are honestly just so damn good, I really didn't know which one to put at the bottom. I decided placing Sophia at the 6th spot made the most sense to me because I do love this fight, but I think it's the least cool of the Heavensward trials. That's just me personally. I know you might disagree because god, these 6 trials are all so good, but I'm going to go ahead and put Sophia at number 6. Sophia has this really cool mechanic called the Scales of Revelation. What she does with these is tilt the platform in a different direction depending on which side of the scale is being tipped. This mechanic is first introduced to you in the trial with there being railings along the side so you can't fall off, but as soon as the first Scales of Revelation go off, the railings around the side of the platform are removed, which means that any time that the scales go off afterwards, you are going to have to be on your shit. Now, if you've seen my previous ranking of the A Realm Reborn trials, you'll know that I said I really like fights where people can go flying off the map. I think it's really funny and it adds a lot of entertainment value to these trials in Roulette. This absolutely makes Sophia even more fun to me when I'm playing this trial in general, even though I think this trial is better than arguably every single A Realm Reborn trial already, just by its own unique mechanics. There's also another neat mechanic where players need to match opposite colors so that they can reduce the amount of damage they take. Overall, there's just a little bit more mechanical complexity here than anything throughout the base game, and it's more fun to play because of that. Sophia is just overall a fantastic trial and a massive, massive step up from Bismarck, and a massive step up from all of A Realm Reborn as well, I would say. This trial is really that good. Now next up, coming in at the number 5 spot on the Heavensward trial ranking list, we have Zervin. Now, it kind of pains me to put Zervin this low because I think it's a really, really fucking cool normal trial. But at the same time, I think there's 4 other trials in Heavensward that are just a little bit better. The first phase of the Zervin fight is pretty cool. He just does cleaves towards the tank, and he'll destroy certain areas of the platform, so you need to watch out for that. Otherwise, you just need to dodge the AoEs. It's a very dodgy first phase, and just making sure you don't get knocked off the goddamn platform. Again, you can be knocked off the platform. Great job. Round of applause for Heavensward. They get it now. They understand. The second phase of Zervin is where things get quite a bit more interesting. Within the second phase of the fight, Zervin will spawn these groups of adds. One of the adds in each of these groups will summon a giant meteor that will wipe the team if you don't kill him before he casts it. This is honestly a pretty punishing adds mechanic for a normal trial, but I appreciate it because at the end of the day, if you've gotten to Zervin, if you played enough 14 to make it to Zervin, you should be able to kill the ad that's summoning the goddamn meteor, okay? There's also this super fucking cool phase transition within the second phase of the fight where Zervin starts glowing and shit and like breaks through this giant piece of ice. The first time I did this trial, I was like fucking mind blown. I was like, this is the coolest goddamn trial in the whole game. But having spent more time with the Heavensward trials and stuff, I don't enjoy Zervin quite as much as the next 4. Either way, this fight is so goddamn cool. I love the music. I love his design, dude. I think he looks so fucking cool. I think Zervin is one of the coolest looking trial bosses in the entire game, actually. I don't really have much else to say about Zervin other than, like, yeah, this is a really goddamn good trial in Final Fantasy XIV. Again, just because it's in 5th place on this list, it really doesn't mean shit. It just means that the Heavensward trials are that goddamn good. Next up, at number 4, I have King Thordan. Now again, even though he's technically in 4th place on this list, it almost feels low to me still because of how amazing this trial is for everything that it is. It's the climax of the Heavensward story. It's a fantastic fight in and of itself, and it's just a complete spectacle with amazing music. This fight is seriously so goddamn cool. I love King Thordan. Every time I get this fight in Roulette, I'm just like, hell yeah. I love fighting King Thordan. The phase in the middle of the fight where you have to fight off all the knights and dodge all the respective mechanics, it's so cool. I love that part. I love the way all of the knights kind of work with each other's moveset to make for a really interesting little dodgy part of the fight. Again, this trial is just so much better than anything in A Realm Reborn ever was. It's crazy. It's so much more involved. It's not mechanically complex per se. Again, it's a normal trial. Anyone can clear it. But there are mechanics in the fight that you have to do, which is, again, very nice. I think most of the fun to be had with trials in 14 comes down to doing the mechanics correctly and learning said mechanics. And the arena for this fight, King Thordan's design, the part where you can see the goddamn planet in the background as he charges up this giant lightsaber slash on you, this fight is so damn cool, I honestly can't believe it. It was really these trials in Heavensward that started making me realize how much I loved 14. I wasn't quite on board with the game after I finished A Realm Reborn. I mean, after I finished A Realm Reborn for the first time, I actually stopped playing the game for like a whole year. It wasn't until I really got into Heavensward and got to see trials like this one where my mind was fucking blown and I was like, man, this game really is something special, these people were right. It is with regret that I can't place King Thordan any higher than the 4th spot, because there are 3 trials in Heavensward that I love even more than this one, and god do I love this trial already. Let's move on. Now listen here, alright? Ravana is my fucking boy. I love this trial. I think this boss is the coolest looking trial boss, arguably, in the entire game. The intro cutscene, the fight, the dialogue, everything about this fight is so cool. When I was talking about Thornton, I mentioned that in Heavensward I really started to notice the quality differences between the trials. Well, this right here is the first trial in Heavensward, and this was the very moment, this trial was the very moment where I realized that I loved Final Fantasy XIV. Ravana completely blew my mind, was nothing from what I expected to be the very first trial in Heavensward, and he's an original design from no other Final Fantasy game. Brand new fucking primal. Now, mechanically this fight is actually very fucking simple. There's not a whole lot to keep track of. You need to make sure to not be hitting the side that he puts the barrier up on, or you're gonna get knocked the fuck back, and you need to make sure to clear out the butterflies that he spawns. But other than that, it's really just a dodgy fight where you look out for the AoEs on the ground and you position yourself accordingly. It's really the whole energy that Ravana himself gives off that makes this fight so memorable and so good. It really feels like this sick duel between this warrior god and yourself. His dialogue, his energy, his personality, it brings so much to the fight that a lot of other primals don't quite have. And again, this is especially interesting considering Ravana is a brand new primal made specifically for this game. At the end of the fight is really where I got sold on this trial though. The part where Ravana lifts up your whole team, dashes through you, and charges up his fucking dual blades where he yells, "Rejoice in the glory of combat." He's so fucking cool. I love this part. And other than Shiva in A Realm Reborn, there was not another primal I can think of, I guess other than Gilgamesh as well, where there was a huge phase transition that really fucking got me excited. But Ravana had that moment where I was just like, God damn, this motherfucker is cool as hell. I could keep gushing about this trial forever, I swear, man. The music, the attitude of this boss's personality, the mechanics, everything about it just feels fantastic, and it is one of my favorite trials in the entire game. If I'm being completely honest, Ravana is my favorite primal in all of Final Fantasy. It's just that I feel his normal trial isn't quite up there with the other two we're about to talk about. I just love Ravana for his personality and character that he brings to this trial, something that I feel like a lot of other trials don't quite have until at least Stormblood. Anyways, enough about Ravana, let's move on to the number 2 spot. Coming in at second place in the Heavensward trial ranking, we have Sephiroth, the Fiend, not Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. I could very, very easily see it argued that this is the best trial in all of Heavensward, because it really is that goddamn good. For a normal mode, it has interesting mechanics that can actually get people killed. The phase transition is one of the coolest and most memorable phase transitions in the entire game, and the music in the second phase is my favorite soundtrack from all of Heavensward. Yeah, seriously. Now, the first phase of this fight on normal mode is very, very straightforward. There's not much going on. You do enough damage to him, and then you get to the ad phase. You know, this phase was actually a pretty good fake out for me on my first run, because I was like, this isn't all that good. I'm not all that invested in this trial, you know? I just did Nidhogg and Thornton. Those were much better. What's this? And then you get to that goddamn phase transition. I mean, seriously. Look how fucking big this guy is. I don't think there's been a bigger trial boss since. And this is where mechanically the fight also gets significantly more interesting. Certain players will get marked with these little markers, and Sephiroth will slam big ground AoEs towards them, so they have to know to position away from the other players. He'll also punch his fists onto the ground and knock you back, and you need to just stand in good positions to not get, guess what, knocked off the side of the stage. And you know what I have to say about getting knocked off the side of the stage. That's right, this is why Sephiroth is a little bit higher than Ravana, because, you know what, you can fall off in Ravana, but it's really, really fucking hard to do, and you have to pretty much be trying to do it. And the music in this phase, like I said earlier, is like my favorite song on the entire Heavensward OST. I love it. I'm not going to play it in this video because Square Enix will probably come after me, But I do have another video on my channel called The Amazing Music of Final Fantasy XIV, where I talk about some of my favorite songs in the game. You should go check that out. Also, hey, we're like 15 minutes into the video. If you're still here and you're not subscribed to the Big Blue Purple channel, what are you doing? Subscribe to the Big Blue Purple channel. Help me try to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Anyways, I'm rambling about super insignificant bullshit. We should be talking about the Fiend right now, Sephiroth, okay? Anyways, yeah, I just really love this trial. It's so good. It's so cool. I love this little part you're seeing on screen now where he puts a tornado stack marker up and you have to jump over his giant fist swing with the tornado. That shit is so cool. Yeah, I really love this fight. Enough rambling about Sephiroth, though. It's time for us to move on to our number 1 spot. And as we arrive at the top spot of our Heavensward trial ranking, we reach Nidhogg. In my opinion, the best boss of all of Heavensward. First and foremost, okay, this is the ending of the Heavensward story, the final boss, if you will, and it is amazing. It is so fucking good and such a great story moment for such a great expansion. Also, okay, it's a proper fucking dragon boss trial. Before this, all we had was the original Steps of Faith, and that's not even in the game anymore because that's how bad it was. The mechanics in this fight and the dodges you have to pull off feel really good despite being, pretty forgiving and not too hard. At the same time, Nidhogg does a ton of damage, so if you do get hit by anything that he throws out, you might die. But again, you may have noticed a pattern with the Heavensward trials now. Some of the most memorable aspects of them to me are these goddamn phase transitions. Look at this shit. When he turns into a Stydian, this is so cool. Like no trial in the story before this went as all out as Nidhogg does. And his humanoid like a Stydian design is so cool too. Like this is one of the coolest looking bosses in the game, and I've said that about like 4 trials in this video because that's how good the trials in Heavensward are, I swear. And also, that's not even to mention the music, which again, we've been talking about for pretty much every trial because the music for these trials in Heavensward is just so fucking good. And if for Nidhogg especially, it's that song that's been playing for all of the expansion. It's that song that has an emotional value to you. And the way it takes that spin in the second phase and makes it more intense, God, it's amazing. If Thornton and Ravana hadn't sold me on 14 yet, Nidhogg definitely fucking sealed the deal. Hopefully one day in the future I'll be able to experience the Dragon Song War Ultimate. I've watched so many videos of people doing that Ultimate raid. It is the coolest looking shit in this entire game, I swear to God. That is like the Ultimate I want to do more than anything else. It's so damn cool. And hey, that's because it's based off of the Heavensward storyline. One of my favorite parts of 14. I fucking love this part of the game, and even though I like Shadowbringers and Endwalker more, I think those are just a whole other beast to talk about. Heavensward has some of the best content in this game to date, and it came out in 2015. That is crazy to think about, and I absolutely love this expansion. Also, there's a 3rd phase to this trial where Nidhogg turns fucking orange, and he looks like Zervan's final phase, and he does some crazy stack marker bullshit, and it's really cool. Yeah, I absolutely adore this trial. It's so good, man. Like, it is just so good. Shout out Nidhogg. Definitely my favorite trial in Heavensward, and that is saying a lot considering how many amazing trials there are in Heavensward. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the experience of all of the Heavensward trials, ranked from worst to best. This is my ranking. Feel free to leave your ranking in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think of these trials, because honestly, these can be ranked in any order. They're all just so good, except for Bismarck. So I would love to see how you guys would order them. Other than that, drop a like or a dislike on this video if you made it this far. Subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more 14 content in the future. I've currently been working on the sightseeing log, and it's an absolute fucking disaster, the Arome Reborn sightseeing log. Expect a video on that when I finally get it done. I don't really know how long that's going to be, though. Now get out there and pray that you don't get Bismarck in your trial roulette.